I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show that we have a quorum. And then for the minutes, I had sent you over a correction from Augie Lindsay for last month. Did you see that?
I did not, but I'm okay with correcting the fact that I will change it from him stating that he was the one who suggested the yellow light to him suggesting the traffic light. That would be a full traffic light on Route 5.
All right. Perfect. Yep. That's basically was the synopsis of it. That was the only corrections I had for the minutes. Do you guys have anything?
Make a motion to go ahead and approve them as amended.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Tonight, George Gotcsik had reached out for privileges of the floor for tonight's meeting to give us an update from the Village Commons project that I think we'd started years ago, George?
Many.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, fair.
So, for those of you that I may have heard it or seen it, you get to hear where he's at with it now, but go ahead. George,
Okay. This slide that I'm showing here was really the result of a study done for the village in 2007 and 2017. And it shows a bandstand on the front right corner of the lot next to the town hall. Now, when you use an outside agency who collects information from the community to do something like this, some things they put that they'd like to see versus what the community like to see, and there's always some things you can say, well, what's that? But I'd like to run through it quickly and show you how we got to where we are today. A closer look at what the bandstand would look like, and by the way, originally we were talking of it just being a gazebo, but it was one of our previous mayors, Carl Luck, who said, no, we don't have a bandstand. And the bandstand concept fits well with, the band and the music, influence that exists in Lima today. But that particular drawing is a standard type of a bandstand or gazebo. You can go to an Amish manufacturer. There's a couple in Pennsylvania, and they make them just like this. We went to probably 20 different communities and took pictures and got some pricing and so on. And one just like that was just put up 2 years ago in Ballston Spa, and they're very, very happy with a generic type of a gazebo. Everybody else, their community has a special design that seems to be fit for them. And all of the ones we looked at, they were unique, so they were custom. So we looked a little bit further to say, well, okay, if we're going to put a bandstand up in the front corner, it's going to be a bit of a challenge because of the size of the lot. That lot is, I thought it was a standard 60-foot lot, but it's actually a little over 65 foot at the front. So it does give us some flexibility. Some people have talked about, well, why don't you put the gazebo or bandstand in the middle? Or why don't you put it in the back in the middle? Or why don't you do this? You know, once you have a group of people talking about it, everyone has a different idea. So we proceeded to say, well, all right, let's see what we could put in that middle right corner. And to be unique, and maybe a hint to our history, The band review stand, which was on our four corners, has a very unique shape, and it's a very unusual structure. It was long gone before I moved to Lima, and most of you probably have never seen this other than just pictures, even if you were born here, right? So looking at this, it's very interesting. The bottom is a rectangle, the top is an octagon. And when I talked to New Energy Works and they drew a sketch for me as to what that would look like, their sketch just like that. They said, well, the maximum they could go with a beam and feel good about it was only 14 feet. And if we're going to have a bandstand, we're going to have more than 14 feet. But we looked at this structure and said, well, you know, two-story structure is nice, the curved roof is nice, maybe the finial's nice. We took another photo or looked at an old photo and said, well, what if we took the floor out? This review stand just have a floor with a trap door, and you put a ladder up and people would climb up and they would review the parade. But if we took the floor out and maybe put some windows in around the top, you could have a light up top, which would look very nice, shining out through the windows and down to the floor, but you've still got a structure that's only 14 feet wide. So we drew up a sketch like this, made the bandstand 20 feet wide, did pretty much the same structure, maybe some windows on the second floor, you know, the curved roof, the finial, and just about everybody who looked at it, and that includes one of the architects who was involved in the 2017 plan, and the various people who participated in this evolving idea, said, yeah, we like that. There might be some modifications as we go forward, but conceptually, we're pretty much where we think it should be. Now, this is a dark photo, but what that is a weather vane and a finial that used to be on the very top of the steeple at the Presbyterian Church before they had to take it down. That steeple was rotting, and subsequently we put up another steeple in its place. That finial and weather vane are in my barn. So there's a question of, do you have one long spire going up? Or maybe we look at the possibility that this could fit on the top of that bandstand as well, another reflection of some of the historical elements of Lima. So I took it to Maria and I said, Maria, could you clean this up for me? You know, make a nice picture. And she says, oh, great. She said, I just got a new AI and I'm dying to play with it. So she used AI and created this image of what we just saw as a drawing. She put arches and no windows on the second story, so it could be windows, it could not be windows. It remains to be seen. But that's conceptually what that bandstand might look like. Octagon on the bottom, octagon on the second floor. That's the long finial that could be replaced. And I said, well, gee, it's too bad. Couldn't we put it in situ right on Main Street? So she did. I took a picture from across the street. She dropped it in. It gives you a little bit of a scale relative to the town hall and to the house behind. The actual sighting of that would be slightly over to the right if we put it exactly where it was in the 2017 plan. So with that, we said, well, all right, to the village board, we said, what do you think? Do we have enough for us to say, let's go forward and talk to an architect and then get some quotes? And that led to the debate of, well, the village couldn't do it themselves because, like you, it's hard to find money. You know, with the taxing situations that we're all facing, it'd be hard for the community itself, out of the tax money, to pay for something like this, which could be, you know, $50,000 to $70,000, something in that range. So it was agreed that we would not do it through the village. We would partner with a not-for-profit, a local not-for-profit, to be the fiduciary. And then we would do community fundraising. And that would start off with a letter to most, I don't want to say significant, wealthy, whatever, people looking for leadership gifts. And usually that approach leads to a fairly good start. And then we do a broader community fundraising. Maybe we have a barometer, over in front of the lot. But I think most people feel we could probably raise the money with a good presentation. Okay? So the village said, okay, let's go. They asked if I could get 2 architects. I've got one already who's a historic architect, and he'd love to do the project. I'm still looking for another architect. And within probably 3 months, 4 months, I would come back to the village board with a formal proposal. Are you okay with this? Does it go? Do we go up for estimate? If this goes smoothly, that means sometime next year, this could be a reality. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you about this is that the plan for the development of this common area, some call it village commons, some call it other things, but the common area really says that it would be good to reconfigure the parking lot at the back. And if you can see in that configuring, it would open a green area where eventually, as trees would grow, starting with smaller trees, it would start to grow and then give you a nice green backdrop for the village commons. Right now, we've got a barn that's falling down, an old tennis court that's never been used in the years that I've been here, which is over 50 years. We have a parking lot that's seldom used, except now we have a bunch of trucks that park there on a regular basis while they're doing the fiber optic cabling and such. So I wanted, and I'm not asking for commitment, but I'm wanting to present to the town board that while we're moving into the process of maybe raising that bandstand on the time frame that I've talked about, it would be nice if the town could take a look at this back end of the property, and it would really give us a really great backdrop for what we'll call the village commons. I was hoping that with the equipment that the town has and the town crew, whether some of that shaping of the parking lot and putting in at least a slight grass berm could be done at fairly reasonable cost using own labor. Okay? So that's the quick part. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. And I will give each of you a copy of the presentation, so it'll be a reminder of the possibility that the town could participate in the upgrading of that property within the next year and a half.
So George, what are you envisioning the berm? About a 4-foot berm, and with shrubbery planted on top of that?
I don't envision it. It would be best to be a berm. It would help to hide the parking area. And the trees, it doesn't say what kind of trees, but the trees then would form a nice backdrop for the village commons. But it could be 3 feet, 4 feet, yeah.
George, I guess the only thing I would say as far as when the gazebo or bandstand or whatever it's called is being engineered, that they try to figure out some kind of a way to keep birds from going in there and nesting.
Yeah. Well, that's why I thought maybe having the glass windows across the top.
But they still might come up underneath.
They still could.
Unless you put, I just know how birds are,
Yeah.
especially this time of the year.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to think about some bird deterrent. That's a
Yeah.
good thought.
There is netting that's used in a lot of these barns to this day.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, just like these guys, they have pretty high expensive equipment and they don't wanna have it, plaster Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're seeing a lot of that now, if you didn't do a window.
Okay, any other questions?
Hey, George?
Yeah.
Hey, on the back, looks like you have a back parking lot.
Yeah.
You're saying the falling down barn that's out back, that is town property?
No.
No, it's not town
No,
property.
it's private.
That's private property. So our property ends at the fence line back here?
That's correct.
So is that drawn in perspective, right? Are you saying that barn would not be touched, or are you saying that?
No, that's private property.
Okay, all right. So I don't see like where the town hall ends, and then you have a couple parking spots, and then when you drop down the hill, is that drawn to perspective, to scale, when they drew that, or is that?
I haven't scaled it.
Okay.
It looks like that parking area with that number of spaces would probably use most of.
Or encroach on that private property?
No, well.
To this scale, and
yeah,
visually, if I look
yeah,
at it.
Yeah, I mean, part of doing it, we'd have to measure it out and make sure, and decide how many parking places would really be used back there.
I think some of the green area is now parking.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, so.
some of that would be green area is now parking, you're right.
And your vision is, based on 2017, is a community a village gathering space?
Oh, yes.
And then, so if you have bands, like if it's not drawn to scale, parking might become an issue? If you have a big event, is that?
Oh, I don't know that parking would be any more of an issue than when we have the activities, the Crossroads Festival. You can't find parking because it's so successful. But there are other activities. I mean, when we have the Christmas program, and sometimes there are vendors on that sidewalk, and there may be, as it improves visually in the quality of what the view would be, I think more and more people would tend to use that for functions, for community to participate.
George,
Yeah.
what about the monument in front and the sidewalk, that scout project for the veterans?
That wasn't a scout project. That was done by a woman whose husband was a veteran and felt that we ought to have a veterans memorial, and they formed a committee and got that. It was 10,000 plus to put
Yeah,
that monument in
sidewalk
place.
is a scout project, I believe.
The sidewalk was a scout project.
So does that now encroach upon
No,
that area?
no, we leave it there.
So you got a gathering of people that are loitering or hanging out, or sitting in chairs, like at the road on the sidewalk? You think that's the best place to be, in the front, as opposed to in the back?
Yes. I do. I mean, if you put it further in the back, it doesn't have the visual impact. When you go through other communities where they have their bandstand or gazebo,
The appeal,
it's
yeah.
usually there. It's an element. And one of the reasons that it was put in the right front corner is that it goes directly across from Buell, because then anybody coming up through Buell will see that bandstand, and anyone going east and west will see the bandstand. Whereas if it was too far back, people would come through and they wouldn't.
Yeah, it's in back, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll leave these copies here. And if there are any subsequent thoughts, I'd be glad to hear them. We will be proceeding, as I said, probably to have a contract with an architect within a couple months. And I'll keep you posted.
Sounds good, thank you, sir.
Thank you, George.
Move on to public comments for agenda items. Anybody has anything? Brian?
Thank you for the privilege. This is actually a follow-up on the questions from late last year regarding traffic calming coming into the village proper from the west and the south. What I've done is mock up a petition for the implementation of traffic calming measures in the town of Lima at the south and west approaches to the village. The petition reads, "We, the undersigned, desire, agree with, and request implementation of the following traffic calming tools. Reduce speed zones of no more than 45 miles an hour approaching the village of Lima from the south on Lake Avenue, State Route 15A, beginning at or around 2180 Lake Avenue, and from the west on Main Street, State Route 5 and 20, beginning at or around 6936 West Main, for the attached conceptual plan dated 5/4. May the force be with us. I understand the traffic calming measures may have a direct impact on my property. By signing the petition, I acknowledge I have read the detailed prescription of the traffic. The petition is such that, that's the petition, this is the details. It is the desire of the residents of the town and village of Lima to have safe and reasonable vehicular traffic speeds for the safety and well-being of our children, neighbors, and visitors. To that end, we request the following traffic calming measures to help ensure the traffic traveling through the village of Lima has calmed to meet the 30 miles per hour or less posted speed limits within the village. We request the implementation of the following traffic calming, which is actually what I just read, the reduced speed zones. We request that any traffic studies that be undertaken to assess the observed need for the requested traffic calming measures. We request that the town and village of Lima governments work with the Livingston County Traffic Safety Board and the New York State Department of Transportation and any applicable organizations, department, or groups to further this initiative. This is in response to my discussions with the supervisor that public comment and public petition would be one way to move this forward. And again, as the town, these are actually in the town, and the town representative to the Livingston County Traffic Board is Sean. So this is, I just want to present this. I will send this to each of you in an email. If you have comments, please return them to me. I intend to present this also as a private citizen, but at the village board meeting next week, and then work on a public campaign to get signatures. This is sponsored by myself and Karen and Walt Fritz, and we're certainly happy to have any other co-sponsors or assistance with that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
Anyone else?
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Mark?
Yes.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Pachowski. I live on Poplar Hill Road. I'm speaking about the agenda item as it relates to the Lima volunteer ambulance. Two things can be true at the same time. I'll abbreviate it LVA. LVA can, on one hand, provide basic service, and on the other hand, have serious leadership, transparency, and ethical lapses. Steve has provided glowing reports about the LVA at town board meetings. Such reports are nice, but do not facilitate a discussion about what needs to be discussed relative to the LVA. As I make my remarks, please consider your answer to this basic question. Can an ambulance service be called volunteer when it's paying its staff? Last year, the town board was approached about increasing the LVA contribution so that they could hire new staff to relieve the pressure on overly allocated volunteers. As we've been told, some small percentage of the LVA staff respond to the majority of the calls, with daytime shifts being notoriously hard to fill. Despite that, LVA published a letter stating that they in actual fact have no problem covering about 99% of their calls. Side note, that I volunteered because I wanted to help get back to my community. As a driver, I was helping to relieve the daytime shift because it worked with my availability. Last November, I was falsely, in my opinion, harassed for my performance. Why can I say this? Because every EMT I worked with complimented my driving and support. But rather than fight back, I resigned. Seems like if they really needed daytime help, they would have tried to keep me on the staff. Nobody even tried. Before you consider giving the LVA even more money, I would ask that you investigate what's going on and whether leadership is acting in accordance with what they pitched to the town board. I have recently spoken with 100% reliable source and understand that LVA has not brought on new paid staff. What's happened is that former volunteers quit so that they could be rehired as paid staff. I can't say this any more clearly. That is a bait and switch. And exactly what I was not willing to vote for when I was on the town board. I was assured by the ambulance chief in a personal meeting that there was no plan to rehire volunteers as paid staff. And it wasn't going to happen, but it is. And that is starting us down a path of making LVA a fully paid LA, and this community simply cannot afford it. It's time for this board to start looking for contracts with other ambulance services that provide service with more highly trained staff. We only provide basic life support EMTs, where we could contract with advanced life support and paramedics. I'm an advocate of setting up a working relationship with Livingston County EMS, one that does not seem to exist presently, so that daytime shifts are picked up by the county. And LVA stays in LVA. No more paid staff. If this is orchestrated in a reasonable and planned way, it can be done. What won't help is the collapse of an ambulance service that gets dumped onto LCEMS with no planning at all, causing stress on service and lack of staffing. That is what has been happening all over Livingston County, and one reason why the county is struggling. The town can contract for ambulance services, but I don't believe they are obligated to provide an ambulance service like the village does. Whoever we do decide to work with cannot and should not be obligated to some unreasonable level of response. Yes, it is important to get there as fast as possible, but that's all. Arguing that our only choice is to have a service that responds in a few minutes belies the fact that we are really better off having an ALS service, even if they arrive moments later. At the last meeting, Steve announced that 40% of LVA calls were out of district in March. That is going way above and beyond mutual aid. The town of Lima should not be financially supporting this kind of coverage. It's one thing to occasionally cover someone else's district. I get that, but 40%? We already unwound our financial commitment for an SRO at the school that should never have been funded by the town. We do not now have the money to be the ambulance service for neighboring municipalities that are covered by the Livingston County EMS. This should be investigated and documented to determine what Lima taxpayers are paying for before more funds are given to LVA. At a recent meeting, board members started laughing and joking about ethics. Well, I want to know how an ethics complaint should be submitted because I believe there are ethical lapses in the LVA that should be investigated and addressed. One example is the loaning of the fly car to staff who are having car trouble. This should never happen. The fly car was taken out of service of the community while being used as personal transportation. No one is going to loan out a fire truck for such a reason. I think Steve would vouch for that. Since taxpayers are funding operations at the LVA should act in a way that respects that. I have other more serious concerns from past public actions by staff and leadership of the LVA that everyone conveniently forgets about because elections are over. At a public meeting, LVA staff threatened that service could be withheld. That threat was recorded. If we have to start worrying about whether we get served or get served well because of politics, that is a very bad place to be and needs to be expunged from LVA permanently. The LVA has been acting as a political organization or political action committee for the last few years. The leadership and staff have used the good name of the LVA to promote certain political candidates and disparage others. The Lima Fire Department takes great pains to keep themselves out of politics. LVA should do the same. In the interest of time, I won't continue with the various issues and problems I've seen, except for one more thing. Financial transparency. We are providing taxpayer funds to LVA, but other than getting a wish list for future wants, we have not seen their books. There needs to be a full disclosure of their financial books, so we know money is being spent as stated, and that procedures and controls are in place to monitor that spending. There needs to be a full and impartial audit of the LVA to review money received and spent. To be clear, two things can be true at the same time. The LVA is meeting 90% of its calls in Lima and providing good care to most people, but they are also acting politically, being hateful to certain people, hiring from within, giving significant cash incentives to members, and spending more than 1/3 of their efforts outside of the town of Lima. This board should fully investigate LVA, its leadership, ethics, and transparency before allocating to them any more taxpayer money. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, we'll move on to the supervisor's report. You guys, I think, all received this. Obviously, in our general fund, we've already collected most of our revenue for the year, so we've certainly outspent what we received. But we still took in about $41,000 this month, while we spent $116. In the highway department, Sean, you'll notice you got $79,000 for the snow and ice from New York State, so that's good. And then get there. For the highway department, they took in 106,000, spent 53. Library, they took in a little bit on a material grant and some interest, and then the rest of it was 16,000, so 2,900 in and 16,000 out. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Hey, John,
Yes.
so say that again, so we spent more money than we took in, is that what you were saying for this month, or what?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
but that's typical. I mean, we take in most of our revenue at the
That's
beginning of the year,
okay.
you know, in taxes, and then it gets dispersed
Yeah.
over the course, but, sometimes there's a little lag in the highway department where they bring in the snow and the ice removal from the state and the county, and then, you know, they get caught back up and made whole, so.
So what happens if that continues? If we continue to spend more than we take
It happens.
in? It happens every year. What are you saying, Augie?
We
You
take
got
all-
your big pot of money at the start of the year.
Yeah.
There's disbursements at times bigger than other monies coming in, but it has to balance, and it will balance for the year. So to say that that happens every month, that's a misnomer.
Right now, it's a timing thing.
It's all about timing and how bills get paid.
Correct. At the first part of the year, we took in a heck of a lot more whatever we were spending their taxes than we spent, you know, so that's just kinda how it works out. I mean, we can talk high level about how it would work, and, you know, I can have you guys, you can go to the website and look at the budget, especially on the A side, you can see that this year was balanced, using $172,000 out of the fund balance. You know, that's something that can't continue. Eventually that money runs dry, right? So that's a discussion that we'll be having as we move towards the budget.
The
process.
assessments had a lot to do with the taxes going up. I mean, my house went up 300,000 my farm. So my taxes would be higher, but I mean, the assessments went up, you know, I went up 300,000, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So now I'm 663,000, my place.
But in all fairness, Bill, that has nothing to do with this board, correct?
That's true, I'm just
Yeah,
letting you
it's
know that.
New York State and how
Right.
how it all comes into play.
For clarity, assessments don't raise taxes, raising taxes raises taxes. Assessments just divide how it's divvied up, how the tax load is divvied up amongst you and your neighbors. So the tax levy is still the tax levy. You know, mine went up too, you know, so you're not alone. But if mine goes up, then somebody else's went down because it's still the same amount of money. Until we go through the next year's budget, so. Any questions on the supervisor report? Accept?
I'll move to accept it.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Did you guys get the report from, you got Jen's report, and Charlie's report? And Charlie's is here also, if there's any questions on those. Sean, do you wanna go ahead with the highway department?
Yeah. Today I went to the county, signed for the month of March's snow and ice tickets. There's another like $9,000. Unfortunately, it wasn't as much as January's, because that was about $54,000, but we're still $32,000 over what we originally budgeted for. Over on Dorn Road, you had sent me, you know, the information on it. We ended up having to rent a long-armed excavator. Got it all dug out and everything like that. One of the two 24-inch culvert pipes that go under the road there between the two swamps, one of them had collapsed. The other pipe was still, you know, keeping up with the water flow for now. I ended up plugging it and purposely plugging it, the one, just so no more material could continue to, you know, erode away and go back out to the other side of the swamp. We're gonna have to, it'll be a pretty decent sized project, where we'll have to close down that intersection of Dorn, and dig it completely down about 25 feet, put in a new 36-inch culvert in the bottom of that.
Dorn and Gleason,
Or
Dorn and
just-
Chase,
Dorn 5 and 20.
Dorn and 5 and 20.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, right.
Oh, right, the
Right at
swamp
the
right
beginning.
there.
When might you think you'd be doing that?
Probably once we get everything else, squared away that we wanted to. No, probably not June. Like I said, the pipe that's in it, it's not affecting anything really on either side. They'd put a newer pipe in just next to the old one, and that one had collapsed. Partial water would come out of it, but it also took away all of the sediment on the side hill, like going down to it.
Yeah, right.
But we have it, so that is no longer the case, where it won't be washing away sediment. Pretty much, there was originally just one 24-inch pipe in there. At a different time, you could tell by the concrete at the end of it, one piece of concrete was way more new than the other. So eventually we'll end up going through and we'll just replace it with a 36-inch culvert. We know how all the storms have been going. They're wild. We get a lot of rain. You might as well increase the size of culverts when you go through and do them.
Maybe when you do the Water District 5 and they put the pipe down through there, maybe if there's grant money left over, we could use some of that money to
Say the average the culvert.
Yeah, how these giant boulders get in the middle of it?
There's extra grant money, we gotta use it or lose it, we'll use it.
Sean, what do you do to hold back the water that's on the west side while that culvert's being replaced?
There's two of them. Oh, while it's being replaced, you'd hope to go in the middle of summer when water levels are low anyway. Look at what Livonia just had to do on theirs on the south end of Chase, where it turns into, I can't remember what Chase turns into.
Gray Road?
Yeah, Gray. There's a creek running through there, and they had the same thing kind of happen, but theirs failed in the middle of the road with active water running through, so it washed out, a giant hole in the middle of the road. Closed the road, dig it all the way down. Thankfully, we are not in that situation where it happened in the middle of the road. We were able to, completely plug it and stop it going through that one pipe. So that's why, and I inspected the other pipe. The other pipe is much newer than that one. But you can get around it both ways if there's water running through there or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're probably 10 foot from the guardrail where that had washed out or washed down the
No. It had come pretty much right up to the guardrail where it had washed away. But we have it all backfilled and everything like that now. Yeah, that was just a project that was sprung upon us that we weren't expecting.
Right. Well, I appreciate you guys getting on it because I don't think we want to lose the road.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not. Speaking of losing roads, Pond Road, I know most of the board members here are already aware of it. It's been coned off. It hasn't been creeping into the road at all. There's like a specific, it's almost like a fault line the way that I see it, but it literally, there's one spot where it continues to fall. It's done it, in years past as well. It did it last year, did it once earlier this spring. We fixed it, brought it back all up to level. And about 2 weeks ago it fell again. And we've had it coned off since. It has fallen, just about 2 feet now, just off the side of the road. Same kind of thing, same exact line. It's about 150 feet long. But today, I talked to the plant manager over at Superior Walls about getting their concrete spoils to try and fill in further down the hill on the backside. We would use our own equipment, own dump trucks and everything like that, to haul the material. I also spoke to Andrew Torpy this morning, and he's opened up the use of any of the fill that he has out of his like old pit on his property. It's not the greatest stuff that you'd want to put on the backside of the hill there. It's mainly soil, could wash away, not a whole lot of aggregate in it. And then I also talked to Jeffrey Chamberlain, I believe his name is? Chamberlain, yeah. He owns a property across the street, and I'll be meeting with him tomorrow about, possibly getting an easement there along the side of the road, just so we could move the road over about 8 to 10 feet away from the ledge there.
We were gonna look up the survey.
Yeah, I was talking to Jim about it earlier, see if I can go through.
That was a topic like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, right? This topic, we were talking about surveys there, where we thought the road was not in the right position. Okay.
No, they're good. I gotta find the maps. We should have them over at the highway department. But yeah, if that is the case, that'd be great. But to my knowledge, I am not aware of it.
I think it was a discussion when John was still, it was, we're going back a couple, maybe
Yeah.
2 years ago or so when this, because it was been an ongoing topic. It's
Right.
That question about an easement or the road placement movement was a
Right.
topic.
Yeah. But I should have more information on that tomorrow. And then tomorrow we'll be starting some culvert replacements on like McCoy and North Ave on the road. We actually kind of started it today, but yeah.
Sure. I can tell you that the resident that called that spot on Doran Road to my attention, I ran into him last night, and he just wanted to give you guys credit for getting right on it and taking care of it, so I appreciate that. Liaison reports, Chris?
Yep. Cemeteries, I mean, I was in the
Sure.
one watching it get mowed. Me and Steve is gonna put together a cleanup, and I found a couple of people to help volunteer to help with those projects and whatnot. Summer Rec hasn't gotten back to me, so I imagine that they're in full swing right now.
I can tell you that they are, because my daughter just got a letter that says she's gonna be a counselor there this
Yeah,
year.
that's awesome.
So-
No, they're hiring people, obviously, and then, as far as the historical society, museum's gonna be opening up again, so, I mean, it's back to an active season for them, so.
Steve?
I guess, let me see where it could start now. Fire department, had 18 calls for the, month of April. Couple were kitchen fires, 2 vehicle fires, and a, response up here to the asphalt plant. We had a very successful, ladder engagement down here a couple weeks ago for our, April drill. We extended the ladder here up over both the troopers courthouse and the town hall here, and had 3 different stations set up. Very well attended drill. Our drill this month on the 11th is going to be vehicle extrication, which we do up to the town barns. We will be participating in the Memorial Day Parade, and on May 30th at the Menden Parade. June 8th drill is going to be car fires. Again, we'll be up to the town barns. And of course, we will be involved with the July 4th fireworks and the 250 parade in town. Lima Ambulance for the month had 41 calls. 28 of them were dispatched between 6 to 6 at night. They had, as far as driver hours, 461.75 driver hours and 242 hours to their medics. Total hours, non-training hours total for the whole group was 1,232 hours for the month. Base was used for 9 community events. Charlie and I are working to help them with the new loan closet that's going to be put up there, and hopefully clean out the basement here also. Working with the pit up here to try to get some material for the base, and Charlie was working for some donation windows and stuff for him, possibly through Lowe's or Home Depot. They've had 2 new EMT applications, 1 new junior application. Their officers provided 288 hours total for the month. 288-1 had a diesel tune-up this month. They continue to have a few problems with their stretchers, so that might be an ongoing thing to look to update. They are functional at this point. They will be getting new AEDs through a program, a trade-in program here soon. They have some grant applications in place. Utilize, want to clean up. They got rid of some stuff through the cleanup. They have a whole year of training program courses put in place for the year. I think Dan and I have stayed for a lot of them here. When we go to the meetings, they have their training afterwards. They have they're investigating for a new procedure called treat in place due to changes with state laws on their part. I guess that's pretty much it with them. I would forgot one thing with the fire department. We did put in, I think I mentioned last month, we put in for a wild lands DEC grant. We got that grant. We had to be inspected by a gentleman from the DEC, and he okayed everything, and we are going to get our 50% matching funds back for that. Should be coming quite soon from the DEC. On the park, the gazebos are all done, finished, new cupolas on them. There's some pictures. The one doesn't show the small one done, but it is done. That was taken a day before it was put on. So those are taken care of. Beds are started up there. We are going to have a park cleanup, which if we don't have it on the town website, could we, Lori, could we get it on there? It is going to be the 16th at 9 a.m., I believe. Brian left. It's going to be at 9 a.m. on the 16th, and probably go till noon. And that afternoon is when I would like to get the scouts and anybody else involved with the cemetery here. If we could go from the park and get the fence, the back fence, and be the north end of the cemetery cleaned up. There's a lot of trees and limbs that we could probably, if we can get 6-8 people, hour and a half, 2 hours would be tops. Yeah. And I'd like to do that all the same day if we could. As far as zoning and planning, the only thing I see coming up, the old college up here, if it hasn't been, is in the process of being transferred and sold, I believe to the Obergs. Is that correct, Jim?
That's what I understand, yes.
And the process they would like to go through, they'd like to build another building, go along with that up there for both private and community. They want to build a pickleball court, and that building that they have presented to the planning board is a 85 by 188 foot structure. Estimated cost, right now they're estimating at $1.5 million. I don't know what they purchased the facility there for, but the facility, the old college, is going to be, it is kind of it is a private tutorial teaching type, I don't know what to call it. I believe Ben Dodswhite's daughter is involved with that. I believe something
Yeah,
to
it's
that.
like for homeschoolers and stuff.
And it's
yeah.
kind of a homeschooling, specialized schooling, national program that they're gonna be doing there, utilizing that facility. Great to hear that that's gonna be filled again with a very worthwhile business in town for us. As far as the, Pumpkin Ag Day, we had our seed giveaway, Saturday, very successful. We had 55 people sign up. We had a coloring contest, which you can see that's not my doing, but we had a coloring contest for children. And Caleb Lewis was the People's Choice winner of that. I think he must have taken it home with him.
Nope, it's right there.
Oh, it is behind me. So
Yep.
we've got them right here, all, there's more on both sides of me. So we are we've got a lot of new sponsors for this year. We have Wegmans back with us. We got a very nice healthy donation, came in 2 days ago from Jessica Chevrolet. They're on board with us this year, and we have a couple new banks, and we just got notice of a couple other businesses to the tune of, I believe, $500 between the two of them. So things are going very well, and the committee's working hard to keep making that better for the community every year. Year 4 coming up here. So that's everything I have.
Plus we had Channel 13 coverage.
Channel 13 came up and had coverage, and we got a nice article put in. The gentleman, Mike Murphy was his name, showed up from the Daily Messenger in Canandaigua, and he writes for the Times Union in Rochester, and he is going to be following this all year long, in fact growing himself and contacting other growers, and so we're going to get some real good publicity this year from the newspaper, from that.
When Kelly came, the side door was still locked,
Oh,
so she didn't have access to get seats from you guys.
Okay.
I just wanted to point it out so that people think about the fact that we have to unlock that side door.
all right.
Or put a sign, use the front door.
Kelly's in a wheelchair.
Oh.
My wife walks with a cane and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well noted, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, good point. Didn't think about that.
The one thing, it's not really as much a liaison report as it is something that I've been working on, and I think they deserve a lot of credit. Well, when I say working with, I've been kind of in the background, and they've been taken care of, but Karen Hansen and Fran Gotcsik have, with the Historic Preservation Commission, been chatting with them about, what are we gonna do with the front of the building here. We put a lot of money in the systems in it. To have the building crumble around it would be kind of silly at this point. So Fran and I think did most of the lifting, but she did I know she did on my behalf anyway. She did all the work and put my name on it. So, I mean, that's what really happened, but she filed a grant for us. Hopefully, I think she did a great job putting it together. Hopefully we'll be successful with that. It'll be, I think, if we get the full award, it's an $8,000 grant for someone to come out and do a commission survey of like, okay, this, and give us action items. You need to do this, this, and this, to try to restore and bring the building back to some life here. So I definitely want to make sure that if you see those two, thank them for their efforts. Hopefully they'll continue, and I think she's got about 12 more ideas, once we get that done. So it's been great working with them because they're helping do a lot of lifting. So I appreciate that.
All right, I'm gonna start with the least complicated and then work down to where, because I'm gonna be long-winded. So Chris Doe and I are taking over the Community Connectedness Committee, and our next meeting for that would be May 16th at 10 a.m. Haven't decided where we're gonna hold it yet, but that's when it's gonna be. Chris will be publicizing.
Isn't that when you're doing the cleanup there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's their thing, whatever.
All right, I'm just saying, if we're, might have Glad I did not drag the Bible.
We can always push it back to June. I just know I'm not available this upcoming Saturday, and then, the 23rd is the Murph Challenge, so we could do it the last, I guess I'm also not available May 30th either, because that's when my pickleball tournament is, so.
Alright.
So yeah, if we don't do it in May, we'd have to push it back to June, which is the end of the world, so I guess we can collaborate on that, but.
Whole different crowd of people too. I would say go with your meeting.
Okay, alright, so then we're gonna go with May 16th, 10 a.m.
And then if you're available in the afternoon after that meeting.
I'll make myself available.
Yep.
I'll go to Be Well next. We had the volunteer fair on April 25th. We had a pretty decent turnout as far as like vendors, volunteer vendors that showed up. The ambulance was there, the fire department was there, Rotary was there, Kiwanis was there, Pumpkin Fest was there, Historical Society was there, Green Team was there, Gardening Club was there. There were some other ones. Library was there. So I think I mentioned everyone, but there was a bunch. And we got a couple of names of people who want to get involved in different activities going forward. So it was definitely worthwhile. Shout out to Susan Gator for putting that together. Next big event is the Murph Challenge, which will be held at Tubbs Park on May 23rd from 10 to 2. All squared away as far as insurance goes. We're live with the registration. Posters are getting hung up. We got a total of $650 in sponsorship, so it doesn't cost us. It's not costing us anything. So yeah, if spread the word. If anyone knows a gym owner that goes to a gym that would like a flyer to hang up, let me know and I'll hook you up, and hopefully we can promote the event and get a pretty decent turnout on the 23rd.
Adam, what did I see earlier on the vouchers? $1,000-some connected, was it, or what was the dollar amount for the Murph Challenge? And it said right in there, we hope to get this money back, it said.
So the registration was $250. We put that on the town's credit card.
And we did get that money back.
Yeah,
We did.
it was
Yeah,
gonna
okay.
be billed to Be Well for reimbursement. And then I think it was $222 to put the event on the insurance policy. I haven't seen a bill for that. I don't know, John, have you seen from the insurance from Amanda? And so those are the two biggies. And then whatever, I guess Jim helped put the waiver together, so whatever you build this out at. So. All right, we'll go to the ag next. Mike Nina reached out to me on behalf of the ag board. Just thinking ahead to our solar plan. Obviously, we're in the process of putting our solar plan together. They mentioned specifically the town of Ashen's plan and Sparta's plan as ones that they looked at and they liked. I will say I talked to the supervisor of Ashen, nice gentleman. They have a pretty clear cut. Their whole law is only like 18 pages, pretty straightforward. But what I guess they have, and now that even Livingston County is using it as a blueprint, is they allow tiers 1 and 2. But if tier 3 comes in, then they have this contingency portion of the law that then it's more hoops and everything for the solar companies to have to jump through it, hopefully to be as a deterrent. So they just wanted, the ag board wanted, that brought to attention that as we work to, put our plan together, we look at as many different options as we can. So when we do roll out our policy or our law for public review, that it's as close to the way we want it as possible, and then it just takes some minor tweaking, and we're not like reinventing the wheel after public review.
So Adam, have you been in touch, I know you have been, but with West Bloomfield, and have they put anything together yet?
They have not. So I talked to them. I let them know that we were in the process of putting ours together. And they were gonna kind of wait and see what ours looked like. I know they're pretty favorable as to what Mount Morris put together, so it seemed like they were gonna kinda, mirror them, in their approach. But yeah, I've kind of been collaborating with them back and forth, just, bouncing ideas off one another, and, hopefully we can, get all the, specs that we want in ours, and then, the difference between us and them is we have a lot of prime ag land that West Bloomfield unfortunately doesn't have in their zoning, so that's when it becomes a little bit more susceptible to big solar, and they don't necessarily have the prime ag land protected like we do. So that's one thing that we do have in our corner that unfortunately West Bloomfield doesn't have. So, and then town court, I handed everybody a packet. So I've been collecting quotes from various entities, businesses. The one thing that is under state bid is our metal detector. So that's what both Granger quotes. One's for $4,913 and change. The other one is for $52.82 and change. So really the only difference between the metal detectors is the zoning. So anyone who's walked through a metal detector, it's head to toe and it's broken down into zones. So if, say I'm carrying a knife in my waistband, that zone will be what goes off, and it'll give the officers who are monitoring the device a location on the body to go and look for the weapon or whatever it may be. So I personally think we could probably get away with going with the cheaper option. And the folks from the county said that they could help us with the install on that, so we could probably avoid installation fee if we go that route. So like I said, I think the cheaper option there would be just fine for what we're gonna be using it for at the courthouse. Then the next quote is from Doyle. Doyle's our high end. Doyle only does security systems and our switchboard that would open and unlock the door and give people access to the building for Carol to monitor. So there, you can see there's two prices there, $13,550 as well as $4,470. Add those together just for their security package, not including the metal door that we put in for and the reinforced glass panels around Carol's office. They're at $18,020. So, and then there's also a $45 monthly licensing fee that we would have to pay on the software. So they're the high end. Then Omni Security, they are basically a subcontractor, so their quote of $16,000 covers everything minus the metal detector. And so that would cover the security cameras, the switchboard for Carol, the reinforced glass, the metal door, the whole gamut. So that, like I said, it's $16,000 for everything.
Now, you were saying something about glass, they'd be one of the only ones that could do.
So what I'm running into, the problem is there's very few companies out there that do reinforced glass. So I don't know who they didn't let me know who they contracted the glass out to, but they were the only one that have gotten me numbers on ballistic or reinforced glass. So I've called like Pace, Windows and Door, I've called Anderson. My next step is to reach out to the school district to see who they use, because I know like they have reinforced glass around the secretary's offices. So I'm gonna see if we don't wanna vote on anything tonight, see if I can get some numbers from them.
So far as security systems, if I brought up the question of West, they cannot subcontract with anybody? They have no resources? You've actually talked to them?
I talked to the secretary there. They had put a quote together, and I wish Mark was still here, but they had put it together a quote for just the door. I'm sorry, not the door, for the security system and switchboard. And I want to say they were like 6,900, but that was before I got involved. So I'm sure those numbers are a little higher now, obviously. But they said they don't do anything with the reinforced glass.
So, as another resource, could we reach out to Sheriff Doherty's office and see what they could come up with for us?
So I did reach out to, his name's Aaron, I can't remember, Aaron Gelvin at the Livingston County Sheriff's.
Okay.
And talked to him. He was the one that gave me guidance on the metal detectors. But they said right now they don't have any security systems that they're working with that are on state bid that they could help us out with. So it seemed like they would help us as much as we wanted with the metal detector.
With county workers?
With county workers, yeah.
And those are on state bid, so.
Yes, correct.
Procurement wise, we don't have to worry about anything.
Right.
For those.
Yep. And so then SG Security, they're out of West Bloomfield. They put together 3 options for us. The Speco option, which is $13,771. That would include security cameras as well as a switchboard. There was the alarm.com system. That was their cheapest option. That was $11,660, but that has a $32 a month licensing fee. And then their highest was I guess it's iPhone system, and that came in at $15,765. So those are the quotes that I reached out to Siemens Security. Because that was another quote that we had from the original proposal for the grant. I've called their numbers several different times, and when you click the option to go to a sales rep, it rings like 3 times and then the call just drops. So I don't know if they're not in business anymore, I don't know, but I had to move on with other quotes. So that's the only one that I've reached out to that I have not heard back from. So again, I think the grant was given to us on February 24th. We have 180 days from that date to get the job done. So I'm happy to continue trying to get additional numbers for the ballistic panels inside Cheryl's office, as well as the 2 reinforced double hungs out here. Just know that if we do push it back another 30 days, the numbers we have here in front of us probably aren't any good, and it pushes us 30 days deeper into the 180 that were allotted. Otherwise, we lose the grant. So.
Did I miss this on an email, or did you brought this tonight?
No, I forwarded. 2 of them came in late, over the weekend that I didn't send out. I did send out the 3 from SG. I got that early enough. I forwarded that to everybody at the end of last week. But OMI came in late on Saturday, 3 a.m. in the morning, and then was it Doyle's came in just yesterday.
So right now, we'd be looking at one of the 2 Granger quotes plus one of these security quotes for a total, right?
Correct. So if we were to go with right now the cheaper option, the $4,900 metal detector, and we were to go with Omni, that would be an umbrella job. They would do everything that we had asked for in the grant, $16,000. We come in over our grant allotment by like $500. Because our grant
That's what
allotment
I would say, the total of the grant was.
was 21,000, I think 495, somewhere around there.
Is
Now,
this security system for this, the town hall?
it would be for the courthouse.
No, for the
courthouse.
courthouse.
Yep.
How about, do other towns like Avon and Livonia have that?
It sounds like it, yeah.
What do they pay?
I don't know, I mean, it's,
Yeah, that sounds like a lot, just, so you gotta have security doors just to go in the courthouse?
well,
Metal detectors?
so if you remember from when you were on the board, Mark put together these numbers because there was concern and safety concerns for Carol and the judges. There had been some individuals who were repeat offenders that were coming to court on a regular basis, causing a scene. Carol's there a lot by herself. So it's basically to try to keep her and our two judges as safe as possible.
And we did have an attack over there, what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we live in a world where there's, you know, a lot of unhinged individuals, and I would rather do more to be proactive and protect people than have to be reactive after, God forbid, something terrible happens.
I mean, if somebody has any better ideas, we'd love to hear them. And Bill, if you got any ideas,
I don't have
we'd
any,
love
I'm
to
just
hear 'em.
asking questions, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem, I'm just wondering how this is going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we have to pay for a resource officer to be safe, but I mean, it gets pretty sad when, you know, it gets to this point.
Yep. I fully agree.
The
You know,
good news is it's grant dollars.
Right, exactly.
But there's some recognition that
Right.
the Office of Court Administration, that these are desirable improvements to be made, which is why they make the grant dollars available. Because they're seeing it throughout the whole state, they're seeing security concerns.
So right now, what you're saying, Adam, we'd be coming in at around 22,000 total?
Roughly, yeah, so 16,000 plus,
The 49.
4,900, yeah, what is that coming out to? I'll run that through a calculator here real quick.
And
16, 23.
Omni's the only one that can do everything.
That could do everything, yeah.
And then is there, again with this,
Actually, that comes, if we go with that route, we're just under budget.
we're just under the
So that
grant?
wouldn't cost us anything out of pocket if we were to go with Omni and the county's, state bid, metal detector at $49.13.
And then is there, with Omni there, is there any residual every month? Is there anything that we'd have to pay them?
I didn't see anything.
That's why I just wonder if
Yeah,
everything
I
is
didn't
above board here, what we're seeing.
Yeah, I didn't see anything in there. Furnish and install license plate recognition, so that was a surveillance camera. Yeah, when I talked to the gentleman, he hadn't mentioned anything.
It's actually the same, Steve, it's the same stuff that the other guys have. SG has an option 3. They're a more expensive option, it's the same AI phone stuff, and there's no subscription
Okay.
fee listed in theirs either.
And so the total grant on that was like roughly 21?
It was 21,400 something, yeah. I forgot the packet when I bought the house, but,
And did Omni give you any idea from start to finish, what it would be to install all this? On the whole total
oh, as
project?
far as timing goes?
Yes.
They felt confident they would be within the 180 days. I told them specifically from February 24th, we had 180 days to get it done, and they seemed confident to be able to do that for us.
So we have to, by the end of September,
Yeah,
basically.
roughly.
I'd say go with Omni and, go with the first one.
And the first metal detector option.
Granger.
Yeah, and Granger is the top of the line as far as metal detectors go. That's what they have over in the county buildings.
So I would say, for me, I'd make a motion to accept and go that route, get it going, and get it going, so we'd be sure to be under, in case something comes up, they don't get parts or wait
Right.
on something that's gonna get rid of.
I'll second it. And they are, right here, they are located on East Avenue, right here in Rochester.
Yes. Yep.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good work.
Good job, Ed.
Thank you for all your work.
Geez, Ron, now what do you got?
Trust me, I'll keep it really short. So I got in contact with, New York State DOT again, just to let them know that, we want something to be looked at there at the intersection of Jordan Road and 520 and Bragg Street. And they're really busy this time of the year with roads falling apart because of the winter. He guaranteed me he would get in touch with me before they come out, so if I do get that call and I can try to get a hold of some people, I'll definitely be able to get a hold of Sean. I will do that so that people can kind of voice their concerns. Again, he reiterated the fact that there isn't a tremendous amount of accidents up there. No fatalities, which is kind of disheartening to think that they gotta base it on the amount of people get killed before they make a change. I got an email, I think everybody got the email from Joe Baker. Banker, I think it's Banker. They live in the old Webb house on the corner of 5 and 20 of Bragg Street. They had some concerns because one, they live right there, and two, they have an autistic child. I've been meaning to stop in there, I just haven't had a chance to see kind of what their concerns are. And I'm sure everybody who lives on Jordan Road or anybody that uses that intersection has a concern.
Yeah, well, you and I talked about it, and we will include you folks, obviously.
Gave my name to Ronnie.
Yeah, I know where you live.
You do?
Well-
Oh my, better lock the doors.
Well, I was on the board for 15 years and we tried to get something done there, never could get it done.
Yeah.
So
they
it's
were
gone
out
on
here-
forever.
They were out here only a few years back and evaluated the intersection and put up some signage, and that's about it, but it doesn't amount to much.
Keep banging on the door.
Just, yeah, squeaky wheel. And then is other things for the highway department, kind of ties into the library. I didn't look into it, I didn't know if we had a chance, but uses some kind of an epoxy on that corner where you
On
walk
the
up
corner
there.
of the sidewalks, yeah.
Yeah, with some sand or something mixed in, I think would probably do the trick. And the other thing is signage for the, charging stations. Is that something that you do, the highway superintendent?
I mean, we could have signs made, yeah.
You know,
At
maybe
this
that would.
point, one person,
So we gotta have this.
Waddick,
Yeah,
used it while I did the video, so.
you basically
advertising.
plugged in to make sure it worked, right?
Yes, and, yeah, so, the library is like begging for somebody to point towards it.
I had a question too about the charging stations over there. Like where they ran the power lines and stuff through the hillside there, do they ever have any intention of coming back and cleaning it up, or is that on us?
That's a good question. Siemens has got a lot of, loose ends that.
We haven't signed off on that one yet.
Yeah, 'cause that looks terrible over there.
We've got a few things in this building too that were kind of not left correctly.
Well, they haven't even done the bathrooms upstairs,
No.
they haven't, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of loose ends, that whole thing seems to be a little bit,
We'll get there.
strange, but, as far as the library, let me get back to that page. Talked about the signage, the solar panels, that's still kind of a sore subject.
Is that how so is that still up in the air? Is that just because of the trees on the southeast corner of it, basically?
Yeah, so the thought is, I guess John knows well, that
I
they
can
wanna
talk
put
about it when we get to the project update.
Okay.
they wanna put it on the solar panels on the north side of the roof, which kinda makes perfect sense, seeing the sun's more on the south
South
side.
end, yeah.
And I still think it'll be shaded with the trees in the hill. maybe not that summer, but I don't know.
It's their study to say that they can provide us the same amount of electricity savings by moving the panels, so.
Yeah, well, time will tell. Circulation of books in that, same time from last year, they're up. There's a literacy of Rochester, they're offering computer teachings and, advocating literacy. There's grant money available to the library through that. June 18th is summer reading, time. The theme is dinosaurs, which I'm sure they'll turn on the little kids, they love those. And, the annual report will be available to the public at the end of June through the library. As far as the parks, Steve kinda covered it, but the other thing is we are selecting a selection committee to kinda help with the park down there and offer different ideas, and that, this next week here, we should know who's gonna be on this selection.
We have a meeting on the 14th.
Right, and we should make the determination from that at that point. Oh, and, Meg McQuillan come to the parks meeting last time, and, the primary school has been planting trees down there since 2019, and they had as well this year, and, I guess that's about it.
And for traffic safety board, I will not be able to make it to the meeting tomorrow, but I can forward on that. One, you'll be meeting up with DOT about the Dorn Road, Bragg, 5 and 20 intersection, and then all the information that Brian Smith sends out to us about the petition.
Yep.
I'll also forward on to the traffic safety board, make sure they're all aware of everything in my absence, and that's about it for traffic safety board.
Laura, you wanna talk about Saturday, the Golden Agers, since you're the.
Oh, we had an awesome luncheon. Joyce Gotcsik, as many of you may know or don't know, she was chosen as our senior of the year. So we had an awesome lunch presented over at the Willow Creeks in Lakeville. There are quite a few people, all the towns obviously in Livingston County meet and have lunch. So well deserved by Joyce, and definitely well attended by everybody, so kudos to her. She's done a lot, obviously, as many of you know, with fire department, EMT, always willing to help out before asking. She's just been very instrumental in a lot of areas in our town, so it was an awesome event, really. They do a great job. Also, Office of the Aging, Livingston County Office of the Aging puts it on, but they do a great job.
Yeah, it was a good time. When Joyce and I were walking back, I asked her, I said, Joyce, how many EMTs do you think you've put through school? She said, boy, I don't know, I've never counted, but probably thousands.
She's been very dedicated to that.
So, that's quite an accomplishment, really, if you think about it. Several of them went on to become doctors, and, so, yeah, it was a good event. I enjoyed it. Dan, did you want to talk?
Sure. So, village liaison to the town board, also to the Lima ambulance as Steve is for the town. I sent out a template just to maybe give you some ideas. I had a meeting with the Lima Ambulance Foundation, which is their 501c3 kind of sister organization. And they're going for a grant from the Livingston County Cares organization. If you have not heard of them, I would look them up. Very interesting group. They put out a grant submission for, I think, up to $5,000. And the foundation is just looking for, I believe, between $250 to $500 for a grant for kind of a end of year thank you to their volunteers type of thing. They're also looking to bring up some matching funds to pay for this as well. And after that meeting, I was thinking, well, I am the liaison for the board here and also for the ambulance. I thought I'd ask if this board might consider doing a letter of support for that grant that would go to Livingston County Cares.
All right, we'll move on to old business. Siemens project update. So, I met with them, I think it was the 16th of April, over at the library to talk about the solar panels and the placement, and we looked at a shade study for an hour with the panels on the south side of the roof, and they wanted basically us to take all those trees on the hill, some that weren't even, you know, on town property, and we had to sign off saying that we'd keep them down to 60 feet at max height, which, of course, the only good ones there are like the maple tree and everything that shades the roof and keeps it cool, right? So I wasn't a fan of that. Then we discussed different options, and we called Solar Liberty, who's the contractor that's gonna put them on there, and then that's when they said, well, that's not the latest design. The latest design is them on the north side of the roof. Okay, so we went through that whole process. And so the good news is we don't have to cut any of the trees down or top them out. They're gonna put the panels on the north side of the roof. They say they can guarantee the same amount of savings that they had. So we signed that change order or to their FIM or whatever they call it, so they can get started on that. I have asked them to come back and look at the court where we had the ice jam or ice damming. You know, I'm not an engineer, but I'm pretty sure the only way you get that is if heat's leaving out, and we just painted insulated. So yeah, go back and check. Because I'm gonna guess you missed a spot. So I don't know if they've done that yet. I've talked to them multiple times about the lights, and of course they're not doing it right now, but I know the ones in the office, I won't say they flicker, but they pulse randomly, and it's, they've been out to look at that, and there's still no movement on what that is. I think the last time they came out, they told Charlie they thought it was the fridge. Well, that's weird, because the fridge was already there, and the lights didn't blink before. But anyway, so that's where we're at with that. They do have a contractor signed up to do the bathrooms upstairs, which is actually the linchpin of the entire USDA grant, is to make that ADA compliant. You might ask why they didn't start there. I don't have a good answer for you, because I asked that same question. If that's what's gonna get everybody else paid, I would've started there, but I'm not their project manager, so they're sitting there trying to beat off their tell their vendors that they're not getting paid, because they haven't gotten paid. And
What kind of time frame are we looking at that, John? Did they say to start?
I haven't gotten that nailed down. I got a meeting with them Thursday, yeah, but they gotta send over another amendment. But that, they reduced the size of the solar panel project in order to get more money to do what we needed to do up there, so that way the town doesn't have to come out, any more than what we've already agreed to as part of that agreement, so they'll be wanting to get that done. Like I said, that holds up all of their money, so I would think that would motivate them.
I would think.
Water District 5, we're still going through permitting. Eric had reached out and asked if I wanted him to come. He didn't really have any major progress updates, so I didn't want to waste his night, but I think we'll have some more as we come into next month. I think there's some progress going there.
Well, I see we did go ahead and sign off on the archaeological study. That was all done for the whole district?
Yep, they've done the ARC study, submitted that. We've done geotechnical borings have been submitted. I actually got to go into the New York State DOT permitting process and sign off on those, although I don't have the login, and that's been kind of a pain to try to get through, but I'm working on it. So we have to go through that process, but things are moving, they're progressing, they're just, you know, when you're dependent on the state, and they're gonna move at their pace, and there's nothing. I went through 6 different emails today just trying to get a different thing, to get our account switched so I could actually get into the stuff, and it was maddening, to say the least.
Is that DOT just for the district or for other projects, like as a whole?
For that, for what I know is I think it's for everything.
Yep.
But the only thing we have in there right now is for that.
It's just for the water
It is for the
district
water
5.
district, yeah. So right now I've gotta go in and, the other company had, upload all the geotechnical, and then I've gotta go in and sign off on it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't have the login information, and it's been, a little bit difficult to get that, so.
Do you need assistance with that at all, or is that something that you have to, is there anything that we can help with?
I don't think so. It's just a matter of getting a hold of the right person at the state. I had to go through a similar thing with the COVID relief sign-off thing that I know Mike has submitted for 2 years that we had sent. But I had to go in this year and sign off on it again, so I had to go through that whole process. And sometimes it's really just, I really had to just get rude, you know, and be like, listen, I cannot do this if you don't make me the administrator. Like, there's nothing I can do. Because what happens is, you know, you go through and submit the lost password since we have the same email address, but then it'll ask me like, oh, what was your first dog? Well, I have no idea, right? So, eventually they got it switched over. And, so I think I sent an email to the right people tonight, for the permitting thing, but, it's a pain. It's a real pain, to be honest with you. But we're working on it. I'll skip the security update. I think Adam already did that. Resource deputy, really no movement on that since the last meeting. The school district came back and said they were willing. I got an email back from the Christian school, just basically saying stop by, which, you know, I will, but, you know, didn't really answer the question of do you agree with the fund split. So maybe that's a conversation they want to have in person, so I gotta get that scheduled. And then we'll keep plugging down that. One of the things that I've got on the new business, I think when I was looking through old documents, I think the last capital improvement plan that I saw for the town of Lima was drafted around 2017-ish, maybe. So new board, not that we gotta make a bunch of decisions right now, but you know, things like the sidewalk were on there and that kind of stuff. And whether we wanna continue sidewalks or anything like that, so, it might be good just to think about things that we would wanna see and put in a plan and to work towards, those things. Fire and ambulance contract discussions, I've, you know, Jim and I've seen drafts from the village as they were going through their budget. We got a meeting Friday with Matt Lenahan, the mayor, and myself. Jim, if he can make it. There is some language changes in the contracts that, just from a contract review standpoint, I think we should get in there. You know, right now there's nothing that says like, oh, if they don't provide service, we go somewhere else, we're under contract, right? Or, you know, I mean, so just things like that. I don't think it's a lot of administrative stuff, but it also protects the town. I know, I'll just address some of the things that Mark had brought up, even though he's not here, but when it comes to the operation of the ambulance, I think it's important for everybody to understand that is a village entity, and those complaints or those things with how they're operating their business belong at that meeting, not this one. The only thing we can control is our dollars and cents and what we think makes sense. Regarding their ask for the additional funding, previously I've had the conversations, and I think Dan was there as well. I think for a town, we know that they've had issues with getting these paid staff positions. So it's not a situation where we would agree to hand over a slush fund of money for people that don't actually ever come to fruition, right? So I think we're trying to structure that kind of agreement, just to give you guys all a heads up of kind of where my head is, and you can tell me if I'm way wrong, and then when we meet on Friday, I can change course, but, it would be more of a per hour worked, right? A partnership deal where if you have the people that are there and they're working, you know, and we would do a reimbursement type of situation rather than, you know, a blanket $25,000 that may or may not actually get spent on paid staff because we can't necessarily control that. So,
Is that their ask, or what is their ask?
right now, yeah, that's basically it. The same thing that they had asked last year.
Yeah.
To try to pilot this thing out, and they've tried it a little bit on their end, you know, with both the village and the ambulance putting in 25,000, and you know, those are some of the things that we've seen, right? Is that there's still a staffing agency, and Dan, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, or Steve, but I think the staffing agency struggles to fill the staff. So that's where I kind of threw out there, like, hey, listen, like, it's not a slush fund, right? You know, if it's for services rendered, you know, for the town, you know, I think that's a different conversation than a $25,000 just blanket check that you can use or apply to that. So that's kind of my thought process with it.
I think going forward, it would behoove, and I'm not trying to speak for Dan, because maybe he's got a whole different thought, but I think it is only fair that we are using taxpayer money that we're not there to babysit the ambulance by any means, but I think in fairness, we do need to go and have a breakdown, I think, Dan, of where that money is going, to who and how many hours that they've paid for. And even myself, I think I kind of brought this up to her. I did follow through. I committed all this year's pay from this board, my $5,000 and some, which right now we wrote them a check for over $1,400, almost $1,478 that I've given them this year alone. And I would like to see where that is being used. I was asked that was to be used for staff when needed, and I think that is only fair that we ask and get a breakdown, that's all, of how it's being spent within their organization.
And that was something else that we talked about in the contract discussions, is it would be X amount for the building debt service and a fund, so to speak, for additional paid staff.
Right.
So,
So
yeah.
presently, I know there's probably not a time clock, but does Meg quantify hours as who's working and who's getting paid at this point? Does she keep that kind of information?
So all the people come through the staffing agency, so they get an invoice with everybody's hours. Yeah.
So it is being logged, I mean,
Sure.
I'd like to see it. I mean, she gives me a very nice detailed report, which I know Dan gets also, and just probably a little bit more looking at the staff and who is getting it paid for their hours would be probably a good thing to do.
And Steve, you brought that up at a village board meeting. That wasn't you when you talked about that discussion about where's the money directly going, was during a village board meeting.
Yes.
Specifically, because Brian, that comment was, that discussion was had a little bit. So the village is aware of that thought, which is the correct thought from us, from the taxpayers. Hey, great, we're funding it, great, but how's it being used? Especially when it was pitched for, labor
Yep.
support.
Yeah, personnel needed,
Yeah.
right,
Is
where they were
anybody-
short.
Is anybody that's a volunteer, have they brought up any grievances that this one's getting paid and I'm just volunteering?
I haven't heard anything, Dan, of you on your end, really?
No,
or-
the decision was that you couldn't be both. It has to be
Right.
separated out.
Choose one or the other. If
Right.
you're going to go for the paid position, then you can no longer be a volunteer. You only can work the paid hours.
And there's a limited amount of hours that can be paid out, correct?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have so much money in
Yeah.
the budget. I think they try to get 2 days a week, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know that they
Right.
always do.
How do they work that? I mean, do they have any idea? I mean, I know you don't, but days that are busier or
Yeah.
time that they do?
Yeah, I mean, when I arrived at Scott and stuff, he's telling me that typically a Thursday is going to be one of the days that they're going to be busiest.
And
It
they,
just it happens that way.
and they
Yeah,
have
I
paid
mean,
personnel on staff.
I believe so.
So I think all they can do is really go back and look at
Yeah.
historical data and
Yeah.
throw a shot at the dark and, you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
sure enough,
Yeah.
if you ID it, it's probably not gonna be there. But that's the only way,
And I will say, basing this on the fire side, the one comment about going out on mutual aid calls, we rely on other mutual aid calls from other departments too, both ambulance and fire, and we all work together, so I took that as a little bit of a rub, myself, just me personally, because they have no control over that when it comes to being called in to fill in for another squad, just like we have no control. We get the call from Lima to go to Rush for a structure fire or Avon, we're gone. And we don't sit there and, nah, we don't feel like going today, never mind. Doesn't happen like that. You go when you're called.
Well, the one thing Mark brought up was the fact that some of the towns are going with the county. And,
Which is why you're sending out 40% of our time to cover the county.
Right,
I mean,
it's-
that's what it comes down to. The county can't cover its own calls.
right,
So
so
we're being asked to do so.
I guess to that
Do we
point,
wanna depend on that service if they can't provide it now? I mean, if we get, and somehow have nobody on staff for Lima's ambulance, we have to depend on one that's dependent on us 40% of the calls for it. Alright,
And Bill kind of touched on about taxes and money and everything else. I can tell you, I talked firsthand to a deputy up here back in February that was at the ambulance that night, and I was going into a meeting, I know the guy and got talking. And now things change, maybe the county's gonna come up with some magic money. But he told me straight up, he said, Steve, county has no more money in the budget to put on more ambulances. So what's that tell you right there? We've gotta work and try to keep our, and now again, this is Steve Werner speaking, not a board. I feel we need to do what we can. If things have to be changed a little, hopefully there's gives and takes in life. But to me, we need, because of that reason, of filling in for the county and going on other calls, we need to keep our staff here in Lima as long as we can with some kind of diversified program.
well, with that being said, again, I keep bringing this point up, but Lima's fire department, the fire tax is 50 cents a thousand. In every other county, 78 to $1.
$1.10,
in
$1.20.
In Livingston County. So, boy, if we didn't have a fire department or we didn't have an ambulance, if you didn't need it, you'd say fine, but there might be a day you need it and you're gonna want it. So taxes, you know, we were all going through assessments, which I understand, everybody's went up. Nobody wants to pay more than tax money, but again, that is the correlation between, higher assessments and what you're paying. Doesn't necessarily go hand in hand, but maybe, a few more bucks in tax money if we keep the fire department and the ambulance going, I guess.
Well, Andy's walking in at a perfect time, and as long as we're talking a little bit about ambulance and fire, just what Ron said, we just put a new-to-us pumper into service. We just got it in here a couple weeks ago, it's up and running, and what'd we save, Andy, 750, 800,000?
Absolutely, Judge. Yes.
By doing that, folks, it was gonna be $1.25 million to buy a new pumper, and we got this one, I think we're under 400,000,
We are
correct?
outfitted on the road.
Yeah, and it's a great truck. It mirrors our other newer pumper we have, so we have a pair that are the same. The only bad thing with that, you can't do any ladder or leapfrogging with replacement of trucks. Now we have to really look at that management of trying to go forward and make these last. One of the two has got to last a little longer than what we initially figured on.
Yeah.
And our older pumper that we still have in service, we just redid the frame on that. That cost money. We're in the process, I believe we're gonna put that up for sale very soon here.
The old pumper, yes.
The old pumper.
Yes.
Try to regain a little bit of money. I told you we did qualify for the DEC grant and it came. And we're still trying to qualify for other grants to keep our gear and stuff up, to keep, you know, we are 100% volunteer in the fire department. And we asked these young guys back in the day, I don't do it anymore, but I'm gonna tell you, we asked people that work a day job or a job, have a family, have young kids, to go into an emergency situation that they had no control over before that fire alarm went off. And we asked them to go into a burning building, inside a hazardous scene, into a motor vehicle accident, and I've been there, and I'm gonna tell you, Andy's been to hundreds of them also, and it isn't fun, folks. And sometimes when you're out there all hours of the night answering these calls, and you have people come, and it happens, people come to meetings and want to bitch. Do you know how much water and soap they use down there to wash their vehicles? No shit, folks. You know what? They ain't getting paid a dime. And they're coming, and we've got a great group of young guys right now. We really do. We are so lucky in Lima. But we're still, maybe if we get 7, 8 guys to a call, and that's a lot better, believe it or not. Honey Falls has got major problems right now. A lot of the other departments around us, Hemlock is going to be going away and evolving into the Livonia Fire District as of January 1. And you probably saw in the paper this past week, New York State shot down a program under Hochul trying to get some money for these guys. There is a little bit of reimbursement here and there, but not a lot. And they were trying to get $250, which is nothing. As an incentive to a firefighter to come in and join a volunteer organization. And Andy, how much of you and I, when we started initial fire attack and everything, I think we went 8 weeks. It's 16 now.
Yeah, it's over that, and their little $250 for one program is a 16-week class where you take Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays. And
Yeah.
it's just,
Steve,
Yeah.
I can't say any more for the fire department. You know what happened to my house?
Yep, you had a flood bill and
They were there 3 hours pumping out my basement, and they did the greatest job ever. Those guys deserve a lot of credit. And I gave you a little donation.
You did, and we thank you very much for it. You were recognized at the fire meeting the other night.
But they did a great job. Those guys were really good. And it saved my basement.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of those things, I'm going to tell you someday, and it probably will happen, hopefully not in any of our lifetime, be it ambulance or fire, but you won't know what you had till it's gone. The old saying is, when it's gone, you're going to realize what you had. So, there. That's my soapbox for tonight.
well said.
The only other thing I want to add, we did this earlier in the year, if people in the room don't remember, but we added the contractual expense line item to the B-side budget for the ambulance contract, so it won't be intermingled with the fire protection district contact when you look at the budget anymore. So it'll be transparent to anybody who wants to look at it, what we're paying for each service, and they'll each get their funding out of that bucket of money, and it won't be split behind, not really behind closed doors, but you know what I'm saying.
100%.
It won't be split, it'll be much easier to follow.
Should have been done years ago when we kind of split per se.
It's not under transportation for the library.
Right.
Abstracts. We got general abstracts ranging from 121 to 144 for $82,785.42. Where I do have a note on one of those that was in the general fund that it should have came out of the water district fund. So if we can have that corrected.
And that was that survey, the archaeological survey, correct?
Yeah, I think it was that or the geotechnical,
Yeah.
but yeah. And then water district had $17,734.75 with 2 vouchers, number 5 and 6. Highway spent had vouchers there of $6,668.70 with vouchers 45 through 60. Everyone I think has had a chance to review those. Motion to accept. Pay the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments for town matters. Anybody have anything?
I do.
Sure.
Thank you to Lima 365 Live, because I finally tied up earlier, so I couldn't get there. Adam, I know you were directing talking about the courthouse over here, security. I know you guys voted to move on forward with Omni Security, that's how you pronounce it. And A-phone intercom systems. As you know, I'm a Lima resident, have been for all my entire life. I work for Westfire Systems, who is now owned by Siemens, who you try to contact. I'm not sure what was wrong with the phone system there. You know, and we do the town hall right now systems, and we do the DPW systems over there. Some of the quotes and things that you were calling out, I don't believe were apples to apples of those systems. As a resident, I think you really should review those before you guys move forward with those. I know the one that we provided back when Mark was visiting it for the quote was a tuned down, here's a bare bones system of what they were looking for at that point in time. I know you reached out to your glass companies and stuff. You reached out to two residential ones that you had mentioned, Pace and Comfort, I think it was.
Comfort and Anderson.
And Anderson, okay. Those are both residentials. They do not do commercials, so they're not going to get into that kind of stuff. Omni Security is not a glass company by any means, so they're subcontracted.
Correct. Right.
And for them not to disclose who there is, usually when you bring a subcontractor in and do a breakdown of your quote, they should absolutely dissolve who their subcontractors are.
Sure.
And they did not do that.
Right.
So they have no control over that subcontractor's price or anything else like that. So that should be brought up of, you know, can they hold their price to that?
Yeah, no,
Especially in today's market. I mean, right now, a quote for 30 days is only good for 30 days.
Correct.
You know, I mean, so they, you know, the way to go about it is the right way you did it with Granger. Go with the state bid for the state. You should also look at maybe taking out that glass out of the security person's contract and go directly with a glass company.
Okay.
To
Do you
do
have a name recommendation that I could go to? Because
yeah, absolutely. I could get with you and work with you. As a citizen, I would like to do that.
that would be awesome, because everyone else I've called.
Yes. No, you know, as
information.
a citizen, I would love to do that. I would like to also look at apples to apples. Maybe we can do a quick comparison of things. And
Well,
go
I
over-
mean, so I worked in the safety and security system, you know, department at HFL.
Yep.
So, you know, like, we use a Vigilant cameras.
Yes, absolutely.
That was what Doyle priced this out at.
Yes.
Going into it, I knew they were gonna be high because Vigilant is expensive.
Correct. Yep.
Right? So, yeah, you have certain security cameras that provide you better clarity.
Sure.
And then you have ones that provide you lesser clarity.
Yep.
I don't think we need top of the line. I don't think we need a
100%.
Vigilant. But at the same token, I think we should have something that's, you know, above a grainy image.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
In today's
So-
world, I mean, a network camera, you're gonna get a 5 megapixel camera.
Right.
Access is your top of the line, most expensive, and then you go down from there, and there's different things. So there is things. One of the things going with not what Omni had proposed, because they of their Vigilant cameras there, is if you went with the Hike Vision product line, just saying, you would have Jennifer would have one access to where she has the town hall, the court, and the DPW all in one system.
Okay.
So that is one thing to look at versus her going with multi-screens if they wanted to review over there.
Right.
So, yeah, I know you guys motioned and approved and moved forward with that tonight. I, as a citizen, would like to get with you and offer my help, and if you want us to remove my bid from it, just to get the best thing for the town, I'm willing to do that.
Okay.
You know, I'm not a salesman. I get nothing from my company for doing it. I'm the operations manager there. I've been there 27 years. I've always helped out Lima the best, but I think you need to revisit that.
Okay. I mean,
So-
I'm like I said, I'm fine with that. It's
Yep.
just, you know, if we push it back a month, it's.
No,
it's
I
less
understand
time
that,
we have, so.
and, you know, I mean, I would be willing to work with you with whatever we could do to get that done. You've got till almost September, summer, I mean, there's any company out there could do that within 30 to 60 days. I can't see why they couldn't do that.
We could always pull a special meeting just for that, if you guys want
Yeah,
to.
if you wanna do that, I'm willing to help you out with that to make sure that in the end, the town gets the best thing. That's what I'm all about.
So it is a good thing you're here tonight.
That's why I came down. That's why I came down. I
Well,
was
I
watching
gotta
it,
go-
thank you. And then I said, I gotta get down there because I want what's best for the town, because that's what I am here for.
But on a side note, going back to the park, would you be available? We are going to start looking as the park commission to give our recommendation back to the town and the village. We would like to see about an upgrade of security down to the park.
Yes.
Would you be available, so it's out in the open, and I'm asking here, would you be available on the 14th at 6:30 to come to our park meeting? So what's going on, folks, unfortunately, over the years, you've probably heard we figured kids, last year, the dugouts, the buildings down there, quite a bit of damage done. I think it was closer to 1,500. The other day, the village crew went in to get everything started up, and the toilets on the men's side were completely plugged with mulch, and they had to dig them out. The other morning I was down there checking on stuff, and one of the village crew says, "Come here, I want to show you something." Now the new trick is sticking gum and plugging the urinals. I mean, I don't know. I hope these creative minds are building spaceships in 20 years instead of, doing what they're doing now here in Lima.
I believe on that note, Steve, and for everybody else, the village is looking at closing the bathrooms and going with porta potties. They're done. I mean, these DPW guys, workers are down there. As you know, I may or may not know, my brother runs the village side of the depot. His guys are not down there to go rubber glove it up and clean out a urinal or a toilet. So they're at the point of going down to regular porta potties and closing up the bathrooms.
Is there any cameras there, Steve, at all?
There is.
Okay. Yeah.
There is cameras. This is our second generation of cameras there that have been donated in the past through the park and everything. But they are only there's 5 cameras there. We look left and right out of the pavilion, and then in the inside, we can identify somebody walking into the bathroom.
But you
can't have a camera.
Nobody's watching the entire weekend of who was there, so, when you go down there on a Monday morning and you find the bathrooms like that, okay, who's gonna watch back 48 hours of video to see which kid was there and doing it? And you're hoping to watch them walk in with a handful of mulch, basically, because we discussed looking for the video.
Then you go after the kids, and then you go after their parents.
And they have, but I mean, you gotta find that video and everything else.
Exactly.
The biggest thing down there, Steve, as you brought up, and we'll attend that meeting for you to give the best, is there's no internet connection down there.
Okay.
And that's where we don't get the alerts late at night and everything else, The gates shut down at night and everything else, and it's closed dusk to dawn, is when it's open. But when the kids go down there at night or something, the bathroom doors do automatically lock, another system that was donated to the village. That they do automatically close at 9 o'clock, but that doesn't say that at 8:30 a kid doesn't prop that door open.
Right, that's what Benji was saying, they could put a stick in there or something.
Yeah.
And last year, there was extensive fecal spread all over the inside.
That was one thing. They've broken the handles off the sink. They've rocked the toilets off. I mean, our kids can't find anything better to do, I guess.
You get the porta potty, Steve, you know what you gotta do when they go in to wreck them? The door locks, they can't get out.
Yeah. Great.
But last year, Benji went down, his brother went down again, 4th of July, to get everything, and they had done the same thing to the porta potties.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Sounds like they need to do some community service to these kids.
If we could find them, if we could catch them.
We have, the cameras have caught them in the past few years. The Lima County Sheriffs, they take the pictures over to the schools and they, pull them up, and they do catch the kids, and every now and then, they destroyed the picnic tables down there and different things.
I'm a good sniper, Steve, you can hire me at night, I'll sit out there and.
Yeah, Bill.
But, so yes, answer back to your Steve, I will be there.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
But, that is one expense though, is adding the internet, I think, down there. And that's been the biggest thing, is there's not an internet provider over to that pavilion.
I know Dan has provided Wi-Fi for the festival and
Yeah,
some of the other stuff.
but not over to the pavilion. There is not a cable there yet. That's
To that point, there is an agreement that the town has with Empire for providing services to the town buildings. That's why you have free internet here.
Okay.
So I would consider that since the park is 50% owned.
I tried to get them to run it through the library.
Yeah.
Library doesn't need it, that's all through the OWL system, so that's all separate.
I'm just saying they wouldn't give it to us for free.
There's no cable strung,
I-
that's the problem.
I would
Down
find,
there.
I would find that contract and see what it says. That's what I would do. Because if it was for all town-owned premises, possibly it could get covered.
Free through Empire, it's supposed to be, you're saying.
If you need to, we can make a wireless connection from here over there if you really wanna do it. I can make that happen.
Well, I can get pictures on a deer camera for myself.
There is ways to do it.
Yes, they say, all the way from Iowa, actually. Didn't show up. Anybody else? Alrighty. Board, any additional comments?
Not tonight.
I'm gonna make a motion that we move into executive session to talk about the employment history of one of our employees.
All right. Thank you, everybody.